Good morning, guys, and welcome. In this video, I thought I would start delving into some new to me authors. One fun fact about me is I suffer from book FOMO. When other people are like reading an author, reading a book, I want to know. I want to know what you're talking about. So I thought I would kind of expose myself to some new authors. To start this off, I am reading Verity by Colleen Hoover. I have never picked up this author before, and I am a little nervous. I feel like she is a very polarizing author. Either you love her or you hate her. I have heard very little, just neutral opinions, and I'm very curious which side I'll be on. I will say I've heard that she is writes more spicy, kind of intense books, and that's just not really my taste. So I am very nervous going into this. And even this book itself is, I think, kind of a creepier book, but I do like thrillers, so I may love this. Maybe I'll love her. Maybe I'll become a Hoover stan, and maybe I'll hate her. So we'll see. It is October though, so I feel like reading a thriller is perfect. I did start this last night, and I'm only on chapter 2, not very far into it. I will say, immediately action is happening. Immediately it hooks you in. The first sentence is crazy. So as far as that goes, I'm already kind of interested in where this is gonna lead. I am intrigued so far. Hey friends, so I'm about, I don't know, 60 pages through this book, and so far, basically our female main character, Lowen, there's a terrible accident at the very beginning of the book, and she meets this guy named Jeremy, and they end up going to this meeting, and she finds out that Jeremy wants her to finish writing a series that his wife started. His wife's name is Verity, and his family has been through a lot. There's just so much tragedy, and his wife was in a car accident and is seriously injured, and so she can't finish this series. So basically, Lowen is continuing this 9-book series for Verity, and currently Lowen is at Jeremy's house and is going through Verity's things, and I just paused at the part where she discovers a manuscript for an autobiography that Verity had started writing, and I am very intrigued. I feel like I was kind of nervous going into this book, but I am invested. It's going by so fast. One, the print is pretty big, to be honest, but also I'm just so intrigued. I feel like there has not been a lull since I started. Like I was saying earlier, it hooks you in immediately, and it just keeps going. And very intrigued, very invested, and I'm ready to see where this leads. Okay, it is the next day since I last said anything about this. I am currently on page 128. And basically the story is progressing, and we are getting more kind of slightly delving into the different characters' lives and realizing that there are secrets here. And our main character, Lowen, we're kind of realizing there's something in her past that isn't really out in the open. She is continuing to go through Verity's stuff, Verity's office, trying to find notes and all these things so that she can write the story for Verity. And she's continuing to read this manuscript for Verity's autobiography. She actually is discovering some things about Verity that are not that great, and we are realizing as the reader that she was not really a great person in the slightest. We're going back and forth between Lowen's perspective of going through the office, living at Jeremy and Verity's house, and kind of delving into Verity's life and Verity's autobiography, where she's talking about really when she met Jeremy and kind of the start of their relationship. And it is pretty interesting, I will say. Like, and this is coming from somebody who likes like dark, suspenseful, kind of creepy books, but Verity's perspective is pretty disturbing, to be honest. It's a little bit hard to read just because of how kind of terrible you're realizing. And I like a morally gray character, but Verity's almost on the edge of like actually kind of bad, which she actually does, like she owns that. As we're going, Lowen is kind of realizing some suspicious things going on in this house. And so I am going to continue reading and see where this leads and hope that it maybe feels a little better, but we'll see. Okay, so this little boy just got like a little cut with a knife. Knife is on the floor. They leave the room. She goes back and the knife is gone. And this is in Verity's bedroom. Like I said, crazy stuff is going down in this house. Oh boy. What a chapter. That was intense. We still don't know where the knife is, of course. But yeah, cool. Wow. However, we are beginning to see a little bit of some feelings that Lowen has for Jeremy, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, because it does describe Jeremy as very good looking, and he seems like a very good guy, but like he's married to Verity. So I don't know, but I think I'm gonna go do something else and eventually read more of this, because as much as it does kind of feel a little bit icky and just dark, I'm also like so invested. Like I need to see what happens. I just need to. You guys, this book, I don't even really know what to say, like what I think about it, because I feel like I both am like so enjoying it, but also like so not at the same time. I don't know if that makes any sense. I feel like you just have had like to read this to know what I'm talking about. It feels, you know that saying, like it's like a train wreck that you can't look away from. That encompasses this book perfectly. Like I could not describe this better. I am currently on page 211, I believe, and a little over halfway, maybe 60% or so. And like I said, I just don't know what to think about it. Like I am very intrigued. It's definitely a gripping story, and I definitely want to see where it leads. However, it makes me feel like so like like, you know, like it's just so dark and depressing. Like, and some of these things are just terrible. Does anybody else feel this way about this book? And I'm sad. I'm sad. Like, I don't even know how to process this. So, Lowen, our main character, as I said earlier, is having some feelings for Jeremy, and he's kind of starting to reciprocate those. He has feelings for her, okay? And things are kind of getting close, but every time, like, before they can, like, really do anything, they're interrupted. Well, finally, they get a chance, and they start acting on their feelings. Like I said, I'm not loving the spice aspect of this book, but I digress. Anyway, so they're in the midst of this moment. Lowen looks up, top of the stairs. She sees Verity standing there, looking at them. Verity's supposed to be like bedridden. She can't think, she can't move. And she's standing there staring at them, her husband and this girl living in her house. Okay? And then she turns around, goes back to her room, and Lowen's like, oh my goodness, tells Jeremy. They go upstairs, and she's sleeping in bed. And now Lowen's like, okay, maybe it was just my brain. Maybe it was just all in my mind. Maybe I'm just tired. Yeah, well, I'm not buying it. So, yeah, there's my update for today. Okay, just finished this book. That was kind of a crazy ending. I think I'm gonna go look for a slightly positive book to follow that. Okay, I am kind of tired, and you can tell just from this, so please excuse that. I just finished Verity a few days ago, but I never actually, like, told you guys my final thoughts and feelings. So let's talk about this book. First of all, what on stinking earth, okay? Because I was not, like, I went into this expecting, like, a dark, suspenseful, you know, that kind of book. And I was caught off guard, you guys. Caught off guard. So this book ends where Verity, who's kind of been acting weird this whole time, actually, Lowen and Jeremy find out that she has been faking her injuries and that she is conscious, that she can move, speak, and this whole time she's been pretending to be just laying on this bed, unable to move. Jeremy ends up killing Verity, just because both him and Lowen are worried for their boy's safety, and it's a mess. It ends in a mess. But after Verity dies, Lowen and Jeremy end up getting together. They're gonna have a baby, and Lowen comes across a letter that Verity wrote explaining this autobiography that she created. And she explains that this autobiography was just a fake, was just a writing exercise, and that she's actually a much better person than the autobiography kind of makes her seem. What do I do with this information, okay? And I actually found out after I finished this that there's like a whole debate about whether you are team manuscript or team letter. When I finished it, I feel like I was team letter. Like, that probably makes me sound so naive and dumb, which might be kind of true, but I feel like I was just like, I just bought it. But now that I've been thinking about it, it's like, well, I don't know. Like, probably letter? Because that makes sense to me. Like, you're a writer. I'm not a writer, but I could see, like, I feel like that makes sense. I don't know. If you're a writer, maybe you feel differently. But I don't know, like, it doesn't explain what the truth is, which I kind of like, though. I kind of like when books, like, end and don't make sense, if that makes sense. Yeah, I gave this book 3 stars. I think, because 2.5 is normally, like, my average book, like, kind of, it was an okay book, but it wasn't great. And I think this book could have been so much better if I didn't, one, feel kind of just, like, dark while reading it. Like, it didn't make me feel good. And I did not really like the spice. I feel like, as someone who doesn't reach for spice, there was a lot of it in this book, and sometimes it was just like pages of just almost like just pure spice. So I did not like that. And so that's kind of why I gave it 3 stars. I will say, I read this book so quickly, and I am not a fast reader. Normally I read, I'd say 30 to 50 pages a day. And I think like every day I read like 100 pages. Like I doubled my number. I sped through this book. I was hooked. Okay. Like I was reading this on the treadmill. I was reading this mid workout. I read this outside. Like every spare moment I was in this book. So for that reason, I did enjoy it, but it's just a hard book to decide how I feel. There's my thoughts on Verity, and my thoughts on Colleen Hoover. I feel like I kind of want to give some of her other books a chance because I think this book is a little bit different than some of her other works. So I do want to read some of those, maybe. I guess we'll see. But I think she was a pretty good author, but I'm not sure if she's for me. So that's my little experiment with Colleen Hoover. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.